Hey everyone, this is Gale from PaulGaleNetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for video game sales. It is April 4th, 2022, and in today's video we are going to look at the Japanese hardware and software charts courtesy of Famitsu. This will occupy that March 21st through March 27th time frame. We're going to start off with hardware. The best-selling console of the week was the Nintendo Switch, which sold 83,800 units. That's down a couple of thousand from the previous week and down by a good 180,000 from last year at this time. If you're wondering why, that's because last year Monster Hunter Rise came out and exploded the sales for the Nintendo Switch for the week. PlayStation 5, meanwhile, was the second best-selling console, and it did 35,474 units, essentially doubling, and then some, last week's 16,968, and is down by a good 27,000 from the previous year. But so far in 2022, PlayStation isn't doing too bad of a job in keeping up with its 2021 self. You're looking at 274,000 year to date versus last year's 325,000. It is still behind, but not too bad, because if you look at the Nintendo Switch, it's also down from last year, 1.3 million versus 1.7 million. So we'll see. It'll be interesting as the year goes on. Will both consoles beat their 2021 selves or not? Time will tell. Xbox Series had a little bit of trouble this week. In third place, only selling 390 units, far below last week's 3,554, and quite a bit down as well from last year's 1,200. On the positive note, the Xbox Series is at 35,000 for the year to date, and that's a lot higher than last year's 8,500. So cool to see some growth for Xbox Series S and X in Japan. The 3DS did 280, almost neck and neck with last week's 287, down from last year's 933. Looking at the year to date, you're at 5,000 versus last year's 9,000. Yeah, it's just going to trickle until there are none left to buy, but that's okay. PlayStation 4, similar territory, 13. Last week it did 10. Last year, 2,189. So you could really see the drop there. It's on its last legs, but they're still selling what stock they have left. If you look at the year to date, 171 versus last year's to date, 59,000. Dramatic difference. But Famitsu is still tracking, so I'm still reporting. PlayStation 5, the physical edition, is the one that did the most with 32,000 versus digital's only 3,000. On the Xbox Series side, X did 246 versus S doing 144. On the Nintendo Switch side of things, OLED was the best-selling system with 49,000, followed by the base Switch, which did 21,000, and then the Nintendo Switch Lite, which moved 12,979 units. Pretty good week. This was as much of a non-Nintendo week as it's been in a very long time, because you saw Nintendo Switch down a little bit from the previous week, and you saw PlayStation 5 up a lot, so the ratio was more even. We'll see. Does PlayStation 5 beat Nintendo Switch one time this year? More than one time? Could the Xbox Series ever get to being second for a week? It almost happened a few times within the last several months, but it never did so. Could it even be first? Let's not go that far, but on a poor PlayStation week and on a great Xbox week, Xbox Series can beat PlayStation 5 in Japan. For PS5 to beat Nintendo Switch, PS5 has to have a terrific week, and Nintendo Switch has to have a very poor week. So it'll be interesting to see as the year goes on what happens. Looking over at the software side of things, I was right. Kirby and the Forgotten Land had great numbers and easily came in at first. However, as you saw, it didn't really bump up hardware all that much. It hung in there, above 80,000, but it didn't quite hit that 100 that I was thinking it might. So a little off there, but the 83,000 or so is still plenty, but still, a good 17% off of 100. Anyways, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, physical only, did sell 380,060. I could say that including digital, it cleared 500,000. That's over 500,000 for just Japan in the first weekend alone. So that's really good. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, talk about another increase, 18% up from the previous week. That booster pack DLC is doing amazingly well for Nintendo. 18,931 copies of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is what we got this week. In third, Pokemon Legends Arceus, which moved 17,941 units. Not a bad drop either, 22% down. PlayStation 4's version of Elden Ring came in at fourth, and it did 13,918. Again, nice small drop, 29% down. And fifth was Minecraft on Nintendo Switch, which did 13,305, a good 36% up from the previous week. That's impressive. In sixth was PlayStation 5's Ghostwire Tokyo, a brand new title that did 10,144 units. You might see, oh, interesting, Bethesda Softworks? Yes, even though Bethesda is now owned by Microsoft and future products will be presumably Xbox exclusive, this was in development for years prior, in agreement to have it come out on PlayStation 5. Will it come out on Xbox Series X and S eventually? I wouldn't be surprised, but for now, it's a PS5 exclusive, and you saw that it did okay in Japan. I mean, for a new IP, only on PS5, 10,000, it should have done better, but we'll see its legs, right? We'll see if it does any better in the long run, but it's an okay start. In seventh, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for Nintendo Switch, which did 8,982 copies. In eighth, the PS4 version of Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, and that did 7,720. I was right, no PS5 version of Stranger of Paradise this week. That dropped off pretty hard. In ninth, Nintendo Switch's Mario Party Superstars, which did 7,710. It will certainly hit that 1 million physical mark within the next few months. In 10th, finally, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, neck and neck with its previous week, 0% change, and it did 5,731 copies. That's a game that is really exciting because it's getting close to its 2 million physical mark. Less than 13,000 away from doing so. We have some other numbers that we could look at as the chart does go past this mark into, 11 through 30 territory. You see some new games on here. You see a lot of games that have been on here for a while. You could also see where Elden Ring on PS5 landed in 19th. You can see Tiny Tina's debut at 14 on PS4 and at 26 on PS5. You can see Pokemon Sword and Shield still hanging in there at 28th. Games that have been around for a while still managing to do really well on Nintendo Switch is a really good thing. The top 30 breakdown, we've got 19 on Nintendo Switch, 6 on PlayStation 5, and 5 on PlayStation 4. So, pretty cool to check out. That's it for this week's video game sales. I don't know. It looks like we went by it kind of quicker, right? 8 minutes? Usually these go a little bit past, like 12 or so. Maybe it was the way how I tied in the sales and then incorporating that previous week with the current week and making the comparison right then on the fly instead of combing over it later on. But yeah, good week. Thank you to Chris1964 from the installbaseforum.com forums for nicely putting together this hardware and software chart. All right, that's going to do it for today. This is PGN signing out. I hope you all have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy. Bye.